Hey, welcome to another Groovy Tuesday. Now, I know it takes a while for people to sort of come in and get comfortable. Hopefully, you can hear me. Just have a look. I can see some people are watching. I'll just wait for the chats to kick in and the lovely all clear from Jilly to say that the sound is okay. Oh, that's my little text message. Sound is good. Thank you, Jilly. There we go. Perfect. Super duper. I mean, that's going to be the words for today. Super duper. Good morning, Jill. Good morning. Lovely Glynis. Seems such a long time, doesn't it? So, how are we all doing? I bet it's sort of cold and snowy up north, isn't it? I hope you're all staying warm and safe, not venturing out too far. Here, everybody comes. Good morning. Good morning, Ken. Good morning, Lorraine. Happy Tuesday. Happy Groovy Tuesday indeed. Yes. So how are we all doing today? Definitely a bit of a change in the weather, especially north of London. I mean, the way I look at it, being sort of down south, as I like to call it, down south. Anything north of sort of the River Thames is up north. Yeah. So, but I know you've had lots of snow up in sort of north of Birmingham and everything else. So, lovely people at home. So, I hope you're all safe and hopefully you've got some power. Because I was hearing on the news that there was a lot of people without power over the past few days. So, how we doing? Working from home today. Good morning. Good morning. Haven't been on for 6 months. Oh, I missed that one. Who was that? Who hasn't been on for 6 months? Where have you been? But you know what? It doesn't matter, does it? Because you can always catch up on our YouTube channel. It's always available on Facebook. So if you haven't been here for 6 months, then worry not, because you can always watch it at your own time and pace. And you can stop it and start it. Oh, what did you do there? And well, what's missing? What have I done wrong? What have I missed out on? So Jilly will put a link into our YouTube page and you'll be able to see all the Shacks, all of the Groovy Tuesdays. Everything's on there. There's a full library of video tutorials, everything on there. So, so that's all good. It doesn't matter if you. I'm hoping that you've been busy with work or maybe crafting. Maybe crafting's got in the way of tuning in every week. So, how are we all doing today? Hello from Redditch. Is it cold up there in Redditch, Catherine? I bet it is, isn't it? That sort of just to the left, I think, of Birmingham. Yeah. Know a few people that live in Redditch. So, yeah. So, okay. So, what are we getting up to today? Well, do you remember last week we was having a look at this plate that Josie Davison designed? And for me, a plate like this it's sort of like an introduction to grid work. And when I say grid work, you would automatically think sort of embossing, perforating, pico cutting. But what I love about this particular design is that it gives you the effect of grid work. But if you're not into the perforating or you're not into your pico cutting, you can get a beautiful, beautiful design, whether it be a frame, a corner, little elements, very, very easily. Okay, now you can buy this plate separately or you can get it with our plate mate. Let me zoom out a little bit. I zoomed in so you could see that one. So this is the A4 square plate mate. So it comes in 2 parts. I've got my little groovy tabs to hold it. So when you get it, you'll receive it like that. Really useful. Lots of decorative elements that Josie's come up with, straight and diagonal. And then in addition to that, you get this. This was Mr. Dave's idea. No, I can't pick them up. Oh, come on. So these are the little extender plates. And what that means is that if you're working with an A4 plate, whether it be one of the Linda Williams designs, okay, you pop that in there, that gets attached. I think this was a brilliant idea from Dave. So useful. Whoops, that one pops in there. And I've got my normal plate mate, so that fits in there and it gives me that larger area to work on. So I'm sure many of you at home would already have this, but it's a really useful piece of kit. Okay, but we were just focusing on the piece in the middle, which is this plate. As I say, you can get separately if you wish. And what we did was last week, we just looked, I'm going to zoom in again now. Oh, zoom in. Hang on, which way am I going? In. I want to go that way. There we go. So we looked at this plate, didn't we? And Josie's already given us, I can see Josie. Is Josie in the room? I'm sure Josie is in the room. What else would she be doing? Secret squirrel. So what Josie's done, she's given us a large frame, a medium frame, and a small frame. But as you all know at home, then you can extend it, you can make it shorter. You can take elements from it. I mean, these are just beautiful corners in their own right. I mean, I love these little decorative flowers with the little dots in between. So you can really sort of have a play and experiment. Because at the end of the day, it's just a piece of parchment, okay? So what we did last week was we took our piece of A5 parchment and very simply, we attached it to the plate, and using the number 2 embossing tool, we just pressed into the area. And what that did was it gave us this beautiful frame, okay? Now, last week, you may recall, we said that we had various different options. Let me just pop that to one side. If you'd wanted to, you could have taken, focus. You could have taken a piece of parchment and pico cut it so that your design would fit on the inside. And I still haven't decided on what image I'm going to pop in the middle yet, keeping that as a surprise. But I could take another pico square and do that separately and attach it to my frame. So if, for example, you thought, oh, you've spent the time doing this and today we're going to have a look at some perforating, and then you think, oh, you put your artwork in the middle and then you mess it up and you've got to put a butterfly over it, a separate piece of parchment over the top, whether it be the beautiful rainbow parchment or the designer parchment, will all make a difference to it. So I thought today, what we would do, we'd have a look at some perforating. You don't have to be at the stage on your Groovi journey for doing any pico cutting, because to be honest with you, I quite like the effect of the beautiful embossed dots and just the perforating, you see. So that's where the magic of the pico dies come in, because you can pico cut all the way around the outside, or you could pico cut an aperture in the middle. Choices. And some people think that if you've, for example, let's have a look. So say, for example, here, where's my dies? I've done all my embossing, just like this. And then I'll say, right, I want to cut out. I can still do my die cutting now because it won't flatten the embossed dots. Because once we've stretched it, then that's it, it's stretched. The only thing I wouldn't suggest doing is if you've created an image and you've done lots of beautiful white work on it, do the die cutting before that stage. Because if you was to do a lot of white work with the beautiful flowers or whatever image, you don't want to have spent that time, and then because it will flatten it. But the dots like this, it won't. Okay. So I thought what we're going to do, we'll get our bits and pieces together of what you're going to need. Now, we do our A5 square grids, okay, and when you look at the design, Josie has done all the hard work for us because she's created this beautiful pattern based on a grid just like this, okay. So if you have the A5 square or the A6 square, perfect. We'll just need to move it around a little bit. But did you know we also do, this will probably sort of, ooh, really, we also do the A4 straight and diagonal grids as well. And when we had our parchment retreats, these proved really popular when working with the design, because what it means is you put it in one place and you haven't got to move your parchment around. So choices, choices, choices. If you're going for, if you've got your A4 one, then we're going to need that. If you've got your A5 square, then we're also going to need our plate mate from the starter kit or any of the A5 square. If you've got, I bet if you're a collector of Josie stuff, you've probably got Josie's A5 square plate mate as well, haven't you? Yes, I know you have. I do. I really do. So we need a plate mate. We're going to need our Groovi tabs because we need to hold everything nice and secure. We are going to need definitely our Groovi guard. Our 1 needle bold. I'm going to take it nice and easy. I'm not going to be doing a Josie and going like a sewing machine all the way through with the 1 needle, the 2 needle and the 4 needle. Nice and calming. And then we're going to need our super foam. Now, I've gone with the 12 by 12. So I've got the black and the white. Now, if I wanted to use my light panel, then this is where the white comes into play so that it illuminates underneath. And I'll show you during the course of this hour the difference, okay? But to start off with, we're going to go with the black. And then what else do I need? Glasses. Definitely need the glasses. Getting old. Blimey. I need to clean my glasses. That would help, wouldn't it? So that's everything we're going to need. Oh, and a nice hot drink. My coffee is sitting on my little coaster that I made the other week. Do you remember? We showed you how to make those the other week. So that's resting on there. Okay. So let's get my cloth out to clean my glasses. Very dirty. So I'll give you a few minutes just to get all your bits and pieces. What's that? Dawn McCall. Can't find my last week's work. Oh, I know that feeling, Dawn. You know what? The only reason I found mine was because I'd left it here and walked out the room. First time I've been back in here since last Tuesday. But there you go. I'm sure it'll turn up when you least expect it. It always does, doesn't it? Like the Groovi guards, I've got 3 somewhere, but I've only got 1 on the table. Okay. So I think we're all ready. What time is it? 12 minutes past already. So are we ready to rock and roll? Who's crafting along? Who's going to give it a go, or are you going to watch it and see what I do and then decide whether you want to go down the perforating road or not? Anybody? Or are you just watching? That's fine. It's lovely to have your company. Even though I can't hear what you're saying, every now and again I sort of look up and try and read some of the comments, which is very nice. Okay, so I've got my super foam first, and then what I'm going to do, this is a tip I picked up, I can't remember who it's from, whether it's Linda or Tim, tumble dry sheet. Pop that down. Then I'm going to take my plate mate. Good, it holds the tumble dry sheet in place. Then I want my straight grid, because the pattern we've been working on is based on a straight grid. And what I'm going to do, where's my tabs gone? I'm going to just tape my plate to the plate mate. And the reason I'm doing that is sometimes there's a little bit of wiggle room. And on this occasion, we really don't want any wiggle room. I'm going to grab another Groovi tab. Next, we're going to take our piece of parchment, and I tell you what's going to be easier first is if I line my parchment up first. So excuse my head if I just lean over. Now decide on whether you want to have a perforated edge along the, let's see if I can come in on this one. If I come in, there we go. So if I line up, because Josie designed this on the basic bold straight grid, this will line up perfectly. So I'm going to make sure my little dots are over the dots underneath. So the plate actually ends along here. So it means at some stage I am going to have to move that along. But you know what? Once you get into the perforating, it slots back into the holes. So it's not that hard really. So let's have a look. I think I will put my glasses on just to make sure. Oh dear, that's better. Okay. So I'm lined up there. Going to come along. Look at that. Perfect. I bet I couldn't do that as quickly as I did this time round. And I'm going to use several tabs. I say several, I'm going to use 4. I really don't want my parchment to move. So got my roll of Groovi tabs. I know a lot of you took advantage of that in the grey sale. I've been printing off all those lovely orders. Thank you very much. Okay. Right, that parchment isn't going anywhere at all. So now that I have that in place, I can pop my tumble dry sheet underneath. For a single needle tool, I don't really need to have the tumble dry sheet underneath because it's just a single needle. But if you was doing this with the 2 or the 4, then it would just help lubricate the needles every time you perforate. Okay. So, are we all ready? We've got all our bits together, laid out, parchment securely attached. If you've got the A4 grid, then even easier because you won't have to move it. Once it's in place, that's it. You're good to go. Oh, with these glasses, that cup came far too quickly. I thought I was going to hit myself. Anyway, right. Nice and calm. And we'll do some perforating. So let's have a look. I think I'm going to go onto that overhead camera and I'm going to zoom in to an area so we can really see what's going on. So I'll come in a little bit closer. Try not to go out of focus. I shall move that. Let's see if it will go out of focus. No, I think that's good. Good, says a little gnome sitting on my shoulder. Not really. Okay. Groovi guard. Okay, to concentrate the area on which I'm working. I've got my 1 needle bold. Now I'm going to decide whether we'll show some options for these little squares here. I think actually it might be better on this one. What do you think? Answers on a postcard, please. Do you want to, should I come in from the top or from the side? What do you reckon? I'll wait for a few answers to pop up. I think from the side is better. Okay, then I know when I've used a paper pattern in the past, I have a habit, like when I'm holding the embossing tool, I hold it at an angle. And when I try to perforate, if my tool isn't completely upright, then it looks as if I've sort of just stabbed at the parchment, but the plate, the grid plate, makes the tool stand upright. Okay, so really good for practicing your perforating. Now, if I go on the inside of this box, okay, you can see, you can't see, can you? Let me come in, let's hold it up that way. So you can see how I've just put some I think the overhead's going to be better. Oh, Catherine's saying side. I wonder if, no, I think that looks better. I think, can you see that? Let's have a look on this point. Can't really, can you? Let me see if I can come in a little bit closer. Ooh. This is really close now. Scary. Okay. So let's try that again. So we're looking at these little boxes, and now, oh look, I've missed a dot. I've missed a dot, but it doesn't matter. I can go back and put that afterwards. So we're working on the front of our parchment. I forgot to mention that. And I can just perforate the inner part of these squares. Okay. No rush. You just take it nice and easy. Now, by doing just the inner part, I can perforate and remove those whole sections. But if I don't want to perforate, I could just fill in the squares as well. You see? So I reckon to start off with, what we'll do, we'll perforate each of these little boxes. And then we can decide towards the end of the hour whether we want to do any pico cutting on the design next week. But I think you'll be surprised if you're new to this, how easy it is and how effective the perforating with the embossed dots is. So all I'm going to do, I'm just holding the tool upright, but as I say, the plate underneath makes the tool go in straight. Okay. And we'll do these little ones in here. So anywhere there's a space, you can perforate if you choose to. I think it's just a nice way to get familiar with this type of pattern grid, because it's not really a grid, is it? Because there's no perforations within the design. Josie has allowed us to come up with our own perforations and design elements if we choose to. But the design itself works as a standalone. So even if you're not into your perforating, then, I mean, look, you've got this beautiful pattern that will just frame whatever work you're doing. Okay. So we'll carry on. I love perforating. It's very soothing. Very soothing. And I really do get lost in it. I get that lost in it. But, so I've kind of been taught now, you just have to be careful that you don't try and perforate any of the embossed dots. Okay. Now, if you had done, for example, the perforating first, and you perforated in the wrong place, you can actually emboss it. So it's sort of high. No, it's the other way around. If I'd put a white dot, I mean, we was going with Josie's plate, so you weren't really going to go wrong. But if this was a basic grid and we were creating our own pattern, then I put an embossed dot in the wrong place. I can get rid of it by perforating it. See? What's Glynis saying? We used to have wire grids. They were made from the same wire as they used to make splatter guards for frying pans. The very first ones had black gaffer tape around the edges to protect fingers. The holes were square, so we needed a special perforating tool to make the holes go round. And Josie's saying, and we couldn't emboss dots on them. They had to be put in after by hand. Well, there you go. How things have changed. These acrylic grids allow you to do both with ease. Magic. Really, excuse me, I think I need a drop of coffee. That dates you, does it, Pat? Oh, you're all spring chickens. You're all spring chickens. Age is just a number. Ask me that again next year. Yes, I know. So, what have you been up to this week? Have you been staying warm? Have you been caught up in this snowy weather? Oh, I don't know. It just changes, doesn't it? I mean, when I was on my way into work the other day, I woke up and I knew snow was coming because we had this conversation last week, didn't we? And there was a lady in Oxford, and she said that she was expecting it on Saturday. And I thought, oh, that's a bit close, Oxford. I thought, oh, it'll never come down south, despite all these terrible weather warnings. And I got up early on Saturday morning, and I opened the door, and it was snowing. I thought, oh dear, was not expecting that. But luckily, it didn't stay for long. I think because it had been raining during the night, it couldn't settle. And it was only sort of like a flurry stroke blizzard. So it didn't last for long, thank goodness. But it was definitely cold. So what have we got coming up this week? So today we've got Groovi Tuesday, which you know about because you're all in the room with me. Then on Thursday, we're in the Shack with Barb. That'll be a fun session. What are you doing in the Shack? Where was I? Was I there last week? I can't remember. Seem to have lost track of days at the moment. It wasn't Pergamano last week, was it? No, that was the week before. Oh no, we were... what was it? What were you getting up to in the Shack? Remind me. It will come to me as soon as I stop thinking. Oh, that was it. Oh, can't see what I'm doing. You were doing the beautiful reefs, weren't you? You made a start on those beautiful reefs. Or reefs, or... Yeah. Nice. What's that, Jill? Snow stayed here until late yesterday in Berkshire Downs, so I expect Jackie had some in Oxford. Isn't it funny how I know sometimes I can drive to work and it'll be bone dry at home and it'll be torrential rain in Edenbridge, and I'm only sort of like 15-20 minutes down the road. It's not as if I'm sort of driving for hours. It's funny. And then Crowborough, where Barb is, she's up on, it's the highest point, and like she gets really strange weather. So certainly is a changing, isn't it? And who's tomorrow? I can't believe tomorrow is the 1st of December. Wow. December. I don't know whether I'm excited. I have bought some Christmas presents. I did buy some Christmas presents. They haven't arrived yet, but I bought some. I know Royal Mail and all those online stores have been sort of inundated with the Black Friday, Grey Friday. Let's have a little peek at what we've done so far. So if I come over on this camera, so let's have a look. So when we have it, yeah, look, you can really see where we've been so far, can't you? See, and I love that effect of just the embossed dots with the perforations. It can be quite decorative, can't it? So if I feel confident I can take this off and reposition it because the perforations will slot back into place. So if I go to the look, see if I let's take a piece of, I don't know whether the brown will show up underneath. There we go. Doesn't it look nice? And you don't need to do anything else to it. Just a combination of embossing and perforating looks beautiful. And it's whether you decide, I could have just perforated the boxes. I can perforate around the outside if I want to do some picot cutting. But do I really? To be honest with you, I quite like I think what I'm going to do when we get to that stage is just perforate the middle parts of these squares. What do you reckon? Have you got any thoughts on what you're going to do? If you're perforating, are you just going to, excuse me, are you just going to stay with the perforating, or are you going to do some picot cutting on it? Maybe you're really into your picot cutting and you're going to spend the time to go all the way around the outside and all around the inside as well. I suppose it depends on how much time you have, doesn't it? But for me, just those little windows, those little apertures that you can create within the design, I think looks just as magical. Yeah, I reckon. All right, so let's go back on the overhead. And I'm going to slot, excuse my head when I come in. Now these need to come over one. Okay, so that is now just slotted perfectly back into place. Because I've perforated this part already, and then I can take my tabs and hold it down. So what are you doing at home? Are you perforating, or are you just leaving it exactly how it is? Or are you undecided yet? You're going to wait and see how far we get. I mean, definitely having the larger A4 grids really does make a difference. It really does. Because in a moment, I will need to move my parchment, but I'm not worried about that because the perforations will just slot into the next area. So it's sort of, it is easy. And it's whether you decide to, I mean, for example, there, let me carry on this. There, I've gone all the way in with the needle, but you don't have to because you'll still get a lovely, obviously, what you don't want to do is just literally touch it. You do need to, I'd say, probably about halfway with the needle to get a really nice, crisp, clean perforation. I do like doing this. This will keep me quiet for hours. It really does. So let me show you the difference. We're working on the black mat. Okay. But let me show you, if we transfer to the white mat and the light panel underneath. I just want to get to this point here because I can't leave a bit. I've got to complete this bit before I swap it out. You're the same. I can't stop. Right, stop. Okay. So I'm going to bring my light panel into place. So we do two different light panels. Some of you may be familiar with. I'm gonna zoom out so you can see. I'm using the larger light panel. Okay, so it's a nice size. So this is, what is that bit of pen? Oh, I've got here. So this is an A4 piece of parchment, and you see it fits perfectly. And then we've got the little portable one that, well, I mean, these are both portable, but then we do one that's half the size, which is a little A5 one. It all depends on the workspace that you have available. Now, on here, I've got a piece of Groovi grip. So if I was using my plates, they don't slide around. Okay, but that's just personal choice. 3 different light strengths. 1, 2, 3. I'll turn it off because that may just confuse the camera slightly. So I'm going to take my large 12 by 12. Then I'm going to take my tumble dry sheet, pop that in place, and then put that on top. Now at this stage, I've got no real chance of perforating. The white part, the clear parchment, the grid underneath, the tumble dry sheet, the white mat, not going to happen. I could feel my way, but I'd be guessing whether there was a hole there or not. So if I bring that up, and I'm going to come in on this camera, let's come over here. There we go. No, actually, I want to stay down here, don't I? So now you can see, can't you, where the light is coming through. If I lift that up a little bit, you can see where the light's coming through where I've already perforated. So if I take my Groovi guard now, and I can perforate, and as I perforate, it illuminates the holes or the perforations. Let me come in on this one. If I zoom in again, like a yo-yo today, in and out, in and out. Really? Hopefully you can see that. But the light panel for me, if I was at home and I was doing perforating, I have the light panel on my lap. I've got one of those trays that's got a cushion underneath. And because I can control the brightness, it means anybody else in the room, I don't disturb it. It means I don't have to have the big light on to see what I'm doing. Even if I'm embossing, like tracing out a design, I tend to use the light panel underneath. It just helps. It really does. So we're gonna go on, hands up. Who's got a light panel? And how many have you got? Because I know a number of you at home will have the large one for working at home, and then they'll have the smaller one, maybe when you go to the caravan or you go to a friend's to craft. Or maybe you got 2 of the large ones or 2 of the small ones. Because although they're not essential, everything we're doing, we can do without a light panel. But for me, once you start using it, you think, oh, why did I not use it before? It really is. It does make a difference. And I'm not just saying that for the sake of saying it. For me personally, it really makes a difference when I'm working, if I'm working at home. Even if I'm in the office and I'm tracing out designs, then sometimes it can be quite bright outside, and the light panel from the illumination underneath helps. It really does. But these are also great if you enjoy your colouring, because you can stand it up in front of you and use it as a light. And because it's got this beautiful bright white LED light, you get more, you can see more of a natural colour as you're colouring in. Really, really does. So we're going to carry on going. So, all right, got both sizes, and I like to take one with me if I go away. See? I knew Dawn would have both. I know a lot of you at home will have both. So, yeah. Very, not essential, but once you have it, you think, why did I not have it sooner? I probably just said that, haven't I? Yeah, of course I did. Oh dear, oh dear. So what have you all got planned for the week ahead? Obviously, you'll be in the Shack on Thursday. What other plans do you have for the week? What crafting? Okay, hands up. Who's still got to make their Christmas cards? I've made a start on mine. The only chance I had to make them was in the Groovi Tuesday. But who hasn't started yet that keeps putting it off and saying, yeah, I need to start, but you haven't actually got round to it. Go on, confess. Natalie, you haven't started. Yay! Well, it's only the 30th of November. Plenty of time. Especially if you want to do those lovely little Christmas trees from the Christmas tree sampler. They are really quick and easy to do. If you're into your batch card making, then that's a really good plate to have. Okay, what I'm going to do, because I'm sort of looking up and all you can see is a series of dots, I'm going to go back to the black mat. So let's pop this to one side. Bear with me while we just do a swap around. So come in, who else? All done, just the insides to stamp on. Who else? Done the cards, just need to write in them now. Oh yeah, that's just the other thing, isn't it? Writing in them. Once you make it, just sign your name. Paul, Fred, Harry, John, Lucy, Leander, whatever. Yeah. Oh, you could take some of those beautiful stamps that we've got there, beautiful calligraphy that say joy to the world. You could just stamp that on the inside and then just sign your name. Do you actually, I remember years ago, I don't do it now. But I remember one year I was in a real rush to get the Christmas cards in the post. This was back in the day. This was back in the day when, I mean, I know they still do it now, where you've got the cut off with the post office, and like for Ireland and abroad and everything else. And I used to really sort of, dear Auntie Jean and Uncle Robert, wishing you the very merriest of Christmas with lots of love, blah, blah, blah. Have a great new year, blah, blah. And I was in a rush one Christmas. So I was writing it and I thought, oh, it's taking me forever. But I did it because that's what I did. And then I put them in envelopes and I stuck them down before I'd addressed the envelopes. So, and I'm sort of trying to see through the envelopes. I knew roughly which card was for which person. And let's just say a few people received the wrong card that year, because what I should have done was open the envelope, wrote the envelope first, and then put the card in. So now I just tend to put, with lots of love, Paul. That's it. And then it means I can address the envelopes afterwards to whoever. I mean, I think they're all nice cards. It's not like, I remember when I used to buy packs of cards, and you remember when you buy the shop bought cards, and you get some really nice designs, but whatever pack you bought, there'd always be a few that you think, oh, it's not very nice. Who would you send that one to? So, so yeah, I'm not saying any more on that. Oh dear. But I think making Christmas cards, if time permits, then making Christmas cards, especially if you're sending it to a fellow crafter or someone that you know that would appreciate it. My nieces and nephews, for example, they wouldn't really appreciate the time and effort of what's gone into the card. They're just interested in what's in the card. But I know, like my dad, my nan, aunts and uncles, they would really appreciate that I've taken the time to make that card and enjoy it. So it's what I suppose I think about, as Barb mentioned this in the shack a couple of weeks about when you're making cards, you've got to think about who you're making it for, whether it needs to be traditional, comical, religious, and then do it for that particular person. So if you've got a stash of stamps out, especially those beautiful Celtic and calligraphy, I love the little set that just says, I think it says Merry Christmas, and it's got like, it looks like metal plate that we just sort of recently reconfigured, and it sort of covers all ages and all styles. You can still stamp it on your parchment, or if you've got your little Christmas tree, then you could just stamp it at the bottom, couldn't you? I mean, these little Christmas trees that I made here, I know I digress slightly, but these little Christmas trees here, if I put them up a little bit, I mean, I could still get something stamped there. So it's all about sort of, look, I love this. I really do. I don't think I've got to make it. I know I have got to make some more. But using the Christmas tree sampler it probably took me longer to die cut the parchment. Well, maybe not, but you know what I mean. If you want really quick and easy, simple Christmas cards, maybe you want it for the grandchildren, for their teachers, or your children, for neighbours. They're beautiful, especially with the designer parchment. It really does. I think one of the things, there's so many things, with the Groovi system and parchment craft, the joy of being able to achieve an elegant piece of artwork with just the line art very quickly and very achievable, regardless of what skill levels you've got. Some crafting you do, I mean, I knit as well. I don't knit and follow patterns. I'll just knit scarves because I don't need to think about it. But if I wanted to knit a jumper or something, I know I would get bored with it because it's going to take me the time to do that. But with the Groovi, I don't, because I know that I can stop and start at whatever level I want to, whether I want to add some colour, do some white work, do some perforating, do some picot cutting. Whereas if I was knitting a jumper, I've got to knit all of it, or I turn it into a sleeveless jumper or just the sleeves. Do you know what I mean? I think there's certain crafts. I suppose it's a bit like needle work as well, isn't it? You've got to complete it from start to finish. And so what I'm saying, I suppose, is that with the Groovi and parchment, as soon as you do that line art on a piece of parchment, you're finished. Really, it's just you have more choices in order to enhance what you're doing. Where did that come from? That really went off on a weird tangent, didn't it? Sorry about that. Yeah, that was weird. Let's get back to your perforating. Hopefully that just gave you a little bit of a chance just to have a bit of a catch up. That's my excuse anyway. I don't know. Things we talk about, or the things I talk about, random. It really is. I remember when Barb first started doing the shack back in sort of lockdown, and it is a skill. It really is, to be able to talk without any response. I mean, I can look up, and I know Barb can as well. You can look up and you can sort of read a comment and sort of interact that way, or somebody can send me a text message to say, oh, so-and-so just said this, or such and such wants to know this. So there's that, but it's not the same as physically talking to someone like we do on TV, or you're in a conversation face to face with somebody. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It is a skill. And I remember the first time I said, well, let's give Groovy Tuesday a go. And I know at the beginning, it was really difficult because there's nobody in my ear talking to me. I mean, I've got voices in my head, but they don't count. And for Barb to have done that for so many months, it's just, wow. I mean, I do it once a week, and it's just, I don't know, it is a skill. And I'd like to think that I've got better over the months. But as long as you're outside, as long as you're on the other side of the screen, listening to my waffle and enjoying what we're doing, then that's the main thing, isn't it? We keep each other company for an hour every Tuesday, and then with Barb for an hour every Thursday. And it's that distraction, as Barb says, and we just sort of, we go with the flow. And I write bits now, the bits I want to talk about, as a little prompt to talk about this and talk about that, or waffle about this and waffle about that. But it's, I don't know, you just, I suppose the more you do it, the easier it becomes. I mean, I'm sure, well, no, keep those thoughts to yourself, Paul. Oh dear. Yes, definitely keep that to yourself, Paul. So what should we talk about now? We've done the weather. We've spoken about talking to ourselves. We've spoken about who's making their Christmas cards, Christmas presents. Is anyone going to be on Santa's naughty list this year? I'm sure there's a few of you lovely crafters out there that will be on the naughty list this year. I think I've been good this year. Then again, I suppose it depends who you ask. But hey ho, or ho ho ho. It is, I don't know. It's all about just crafting. That's what I think anyway. It's a fantastic addiction to have, if you can say that, and that craft, that it's an addiction. I suppose it is, isn't it? But look what you get out of it. And there's no rules and regulations, and hopefully I can just answer any questions you may have, guide you through. And I mean, I had to learn. It's not as if I've been doing this for, I mean, I've been doing it since Groovi came around, obviously. But back in the day, white work, picot cutting, no way. But now I feel confident and happy to be able to share what I've been taught over the years. And it's great to have people at home. I suppose in a way, I'm quite lucky because I've learned from some of the best in the industries, from stamping with Barbara and Linda with the Groovi, and Josie and all the other talented people out there. And to be able to share, in a way, it's sort of like, not that I feel like a fraud, because I don't. It's, I'm only sharing what I've been taught. That's all it is. I just happen to be the face or the voice that comes out of your screen every Tuesday, if you choose to switch it on, and just shares the knowledge that I've been given. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's been very deep today, hasn't it? Oh, I don't know where that's come from at all. Hopefully I haven't looked up for a while, so I'm hoping there's still people in the room that I haven't scared you all off, and or you haven't all fallen asleep or perforated your finger by mistake. Don't want any red parchment, do we? That definitely wouldn't be good. But just, so I think what we'll do, I can't believe it's sort of 5:02 already. I think for next week, there's no rush. You've got a week to finish this off, if you haven't already. I did see that the lovely Hilda had already started perforating. So no doubt she's sort of I bet she's done a Josie and gone. So if we finish off our perforating between now and next week, then we can decide whether we want to do some picot cutting. Do you want to give that a go, some picot cutting? Or should we have a look at what design to pop in the middle? Because the thing with, excuse me, this particular frame, he says as he zooms out yet again. Let's have a look out. This particular frame from the plate we've been working on is generic, isn't it? So now I'm going to take this off because I can pop it back later. So I won't get it finished in this hour, and I don't want to rush. So let's pop that to one side. So see, I've still got, I mean, I haven't got that much to do, have I? Really? I've got some bits that I've missed, but that's fine. So when we look at this design, this could be used for any occasion whatsoever. So you may decide that Okay, you want a really nice sort of chilled, non-thinking afternoon, and just spend the afternoon embossing loads of these frames. Okay, and then you can pop them to one side, and then you can decide, you could maybe spend another day deciding whether you just want to perforate areas of it or all of it, or you may want to pico cut around the outside and on the inside to create a frame. Yeah, it's just this, and you could have a stash of these ready to go. And if you use like the little panel, depending on the size of the frame that you've gone for, I mean, you may decide to be really bold and go for the large one for a really big card. It depends what you want to pop on the inside, doesn't it? Okay, so you could spend an afternoon, if you've got a spare afternoon coming up and you just want to switch off and just think, right, I want to get lost and I don't want to think about anything. Just do some embossing of some frames and then pop them to one side. And then another day, maybe you want to sort of distract yourself. Then have a look at doing some perforating. And then you can then have those all good to go. And if you are at the pico cutting stage, then you could spend another afternoon just doing pico cutting. Sometimes to take it from start to finish can be quite overwhelming. And so if you break it into stages, so do the embossing one day, perforating the next day, pico cutting another day, although it will feel as if it's taking forever and ever, if you're just sort of building up a stash, I think it takes away the, oh, this is taking forever, if you know what I mean. It's sort of that psychological thing, isn't it? So and you could just pop them in a folder, and then when you think, right, I need a card, so I've done the centerpiece, but now I want a frame to go around it, and then you've got a stash of these beautiful frames good to go. Job done. It really is. So next week, I think we'll have a look at maybe some pico cutting. We'll take the general, we'll do some, and then you can decide whether you want to do it. And I reckon we can have a look at the plates we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks. We can, if we're still in Christmas mode and we haven't done our card yet, we could have a look at Barb's Christmas tree sampler. These will fit beautifully and work fantastically within that frame. Or if you're feeling all lovey-dovey, you may want to look at Linda's heart sampler. Again, will work beautifully inside that frame. Or if you want to feel a little bit cheeky, then I love these. Maybe you want to gnomes. I think these are great. I haven't decided what designs I want to pop in the middle of my frame yet. But if you love these little gnomes, then I suggest later on today you tune into Barb's blog, barbaragrayblog.com. And yeah, she gave you a little peek yesterday. So if you haven't read yesterday's blog, go and read yesterday's blog, ready for Barb to post her blog later this afternoon. Because if you love these gnomes, then you're going to definitely love today's blog. So thank you for joining me again this week. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I have. And going off on random, really deep conversation. Woo, didn't see that one coming today. But thank you. And I'll be in the shack online. Thank you to Jilly. I'll be doing Jilly's job on Thursday in the shack with Barb. And I will see you again next Tuesday. So whatever you're doing, take it easy, stay safe, stay warm, stay indoors if you've got snow. and I'll see you next week. Take care now. Bye bye.